Okay, so what I want to look at now is what's called the AWS Well Architected. Now, when you build cloud solutions, it's like constructing a house or a building. You want the foundations of that house or building to be really, really solid so that obviously, you can expand, scale, extend that house or that building kind of later on in its life. But really what the AWS Well Architected does is it provides 6 pillars that allow that type of scalability, reliability, security, all of those features, essential features that are required for any good solution. So what I'm going to show you here is the AWS well architected 6 pillars. This may not be, where you would necessarily need um, for if you're going to basically study for an exam. But if you're building solution architecture, you should definitely read this. If you're looking to do the exam, you should definitely read this. You should know these pillars. You should know the way Amazon represent these pillars to the end user as well, because even from your own learning, from your own workplace, from your own personal life, all of these pillars, they provide some benefit. So what I'm going to do here is just sort of say, the well architected helps cloud architects build secure, high performing, resilient, and efficient infrastructure for a variety of applications and workloads. And that's really true because it's so, so important, that you implement some type of framework around what you're actually building. And Amazon does a fantastic job here to make sure that, they can provide you from experience and from their own experience of having built thousands and thousands of applications and global infrastructures, what they've learned over those years and those experiences. So really, if you kind of go down here to the AWS Well Architected and the 6 pillars section, and I've put this link into the notes here. I've put them into this kind of cloud computing and the AWS 6 pillars. You know, I've put the actual links in there so you can kind of bookmark them off. But basically, if you look at the actual 6 pillars themselves, I'm going to clear this chat for 1 second. You can basically sort of see this operational excellence pillar. So it focuses on running and performing, monitoring, improving processes and procedures. So that's operational excellence. The security pillar focuses on protecting information and systems. The reliability pillar focuses on workloads performing the intended functions and how to recover quickly from failure to meet demands. Now, even with this reliability pillar, if you've ever built any type of software solution, whether it be software or whether it be hardware, you'll you'll soon realize that any type of software or hardware can basically go down. It can go offline for a number of various reasons. And what you're trying to do here is make sure that you actually have reliability into your solution. That if there is a catastrophic event, something you know takes over, make sure that operations run and continue to run as normal. Your downtime should be minimal, and making sure that your processes will bring back up as soon as possible all of the services that are actually required. So the reliability is particularly um, important. Same as the actual security here, because you want to make sure that even though your system may be reliable, you want to make sure that only the users are using that system that should be using the system and have access to the system and only have access to the parts you know as needed. And that's vitally important, so that users that are not intended to run something that they shouldn't, even by accident. There's malicious users and there's also good users. They don't run something by mistake and cause a failure. And then obviously the kind of operational excellence, making sure that your uptime, you're monitoring these systems, you're looking at the logs, you're continuously improving the processes and procedures, making sure that everything on a day-to-day level looks normal. Your graphs looks normal. If you're using Grafana or Logly, all these type of ideas, they all kind of look normal. your performance, right? So your performance pillar focuses on structured and streamlined allocation of IT and computer resources. The cost focuses on providing, avoiding unnecessary costs, and then sustainability focuses on minimizing the environmental impacts of running cloud workloads. So your performance is very important as well, because basically, you may have a system that performs really well, but the performance is actually quite slow. You don't want your users to become frustrated, irritated by using a system that basically runs slow. It's just constantly lagging. It just feels slow. It feels kind of hard to interact with. So that's really where you want to to look at this kind of performance. The cost obviously makes massive, massive, massive impact to how businesses run, because at the end of the day, a lot of businesses, they have to control their costs. There's probably no business that will sort of say, we will run everything and, whatever money it'll cost, we'll just pay it. They have to watch their cost. They have to watch the bottom line. They have to watch their profits. They have to make sure that they're sustainable, for the coming years, and not making, unnecessary costs. And this is what that pillar kind of focuses on. Sustainability is the final pillar, and really, you know, you're looking at your environmental impacts of running cloud, you know, understanding like sustainability, where can you basically cut down on your emissions, for your cloud. You're making sure that you're only running the systems, you're only using energy that you need. You're making sure that all of these types of systems, they're sustainable, but they're also environmental friendly. There's no point in having a sustainable system that basically will will run 1,000 times more than you actually need. That just makes no sense at all. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you time. It's going to cost physical energy. So making sure that the actual sustainability is also kind of important here. So basically, when you kind of go through those kind of 6 pillars, it's just critically important you understand the 6 pillars. You read through them. Um, there's a few extra kind of notes here about kind of lenses and things. I won't go into those, but it's definitely worth to have a read through. And a lot of these kind of white papers, there's white papers down here, and where they've kind of looked at these items in the past, and they've written like a white paper about it. And if you have time, you may be studying for the exam, you may not be, but try and read a kind of a few of these well written white papers as well. I found here something as well. Um, Regarding um, a notes for a nice explanation of the 6 pillars as well. So I've kind of put that into the notes as well. And this is part from Red River. So these guys do a great kind of job here explaining about the 6 pillars. I would subscribe to these. Make sure you're trying to kind of learn as much as possible from these kind of people as well. But they definitely do, you can sort of see the videos are not long, they're only 2 to 3 minutes each. But it definitely kind of provides a good understanding of each of these, more than we've kind of even kind of gone into. It's definitely worth to have a look at those. Um, so that's kind of around the 6 pillars. It's important for the exam. It's important for the solutions that you build, and you can actually sort of see here where some customers actually use the 6 pillars. It's always good to have some type of framework that you build upon, you understand, and improve upon, and you may have to kind of adjust and expand this out for your own business, but try and take that time to learn from AWS experience and what they've kind of done in the past. So um, I hope you really kind of enjoyed this one, because this one for me, before we actually get into the products and services, this is a kind of good basis to understand, what's going to really kind of shape and form all of the solutions that we will actually provide in the future, whether you do professional level or you do it for the exam level. It's always good insight to have experience from AWS.